They said the Joker never cared about anyone. They said he was incapable of mercy, incapable of softness, incapable of stepping into a courtroom without turning it into a stage for chaos. But on the day, a trembling little girl lifted her hand and gave him a silent, secret signal. The entire courtroom stopped breathing. Even the judge's gavel froze midair, and for the first time in years, the Joker didn't smile. He remembered. What happened next didn't feel like a hearing. It felt like a warning, a shifting in the air. A moment that would expose the truth everyone in that room had spent years burying. And it all started with one frightened child, and a gesture only the Joker understood. Before we begin the full story, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you don't want to miss how far the Joker goes when innocence calls for help. The courtroom was supposed to feel safe, neutral, predictable, but that morning, every surface seemed too bright, every shadow too long, every breath too loud. Officers lined the walls as if expecting a riot, though the man sitting calmly in the center of it all hadn't moved an inch since he walked in. The Joker, hands cuffed, posture relaxed, eyes half-lidded, sat like he was listening to a lullaby no one else could hear. He didn't grin, didn't joke, didn't even blink much. It was unsettling because everyone knew something about him. When he was quiet, he was thinking, and when he was thinking, something was about to happen. But no one expected this. She entered behind the social worker, tiny, fragile, her steps hesitant like someone moving through a dream. A little girl with dark hair pinned behind her ears and sleeves too long for her arms. The moment she appeared, murmurs rippled through the courtroom. The Joker's eyes lifted, slow as a rising curtain. Their gazes met. A flicker, recognition, not of her identity, but of her fear. The social worker tried to guide her forward, but the girl stopped mid-step, eyes locked on the Joker, breathing unsteady, fingers trembling as if trying to form words that wouldn't leave her mouth. And then she did it. A subtle movement, 2 taps on her chest, a small circle drawn over her heart with the tip of her finger. Sharp, quick, intentional. A secret signal, a signal no child should ever have known. The Joker froze. His spine went rigid, his jaw tightening with a strange human kind of pain or memory. The judge leaned forward, confused. Lawyers exchanged glances. A few officers reached for their belts, expecting violence, but the Joker didn't move. His eyes, however, those wild, dangerous eyes, softened in a way no one in that room had ever seen. He whispered, barely audible, "Who taught you that?" The girl didn't answer. She couldn't. She just stared at him like he was the only lifeline she had left in a room full of wolves. Judge Mercer, a man who prided himself on staying unshaken, finally broke the silence. "Mr. Joker, you will not address the child." "She addressed me first," the Joker murmured, not with words, but with fear. The prosecutor scoffed. "You're manipulating the moment, pretending to care. It's what you do." The Joker turned his head slightly, giving the prosecutor a glance cold enough to drain the color from his face. "Pretending," he said, "requires effort." Then his eyes returned to the girl. Tap, tap, circle, a message, a plea, a warning. He knew that signal. He knew exactly where it came from. The memory hit him so hard he almost leaned forward. Almost. Years ago, deep in Gotham's forgotten neighborhoods, it had been a gesture used by children trapped in places adults never bothered to look. A code, a silent cry that meant, "He's hurting me, and no one believes me." The Joker's fingers curled slowly against the table, the restraints clinking softly. Something inside him cracked. The social worker nudged the girl gently. "Sweetheart, it's okay. Sit in the front. Don't worry about that man." But the child didn't move. Her gaze was glued to the only person in that room who seemed to understand her without needing explanations. The judge tried again, louder this time. "Mr. Joker, there will be order in my courtroom." "There is no order here," Joker said quietly, each word measured. "Just a lot of adults pretending to care while a child is falling apart right in front of you." An officer stepped closer, but the judge raised a hand, uncertain, shaken. "What exactly are you implying?" the judge demanded. The Joker tilted his head, eyes never leaving the girl. "I'm not implying anything. She is." The girl suddenly flinched when the social worker tried to touch her shoulder. Too fast, too scared, too telling. A bruise peeked beneath the fabric of her sleeve. Small, faded, but real. The room tensed. The prosecutor opened his mouth to object, but the Joker spoke first. "You brought her here to testify against me." He chuckled, but the sound held no humor, only bitterness. "You fools don't even realize she's not afraid of me." The judge looked at the girl, really looked. Her eyes dropped, her hands twisted together, her breath trembled. The Joker leaned back, exhaling slowly. "She gave me the signal because she knows I'm the only one in this room who will do something about it." "Do something?" An officer barked. "You're in chains." The Joker's lips twitched. Not a smile, but something colder. "Chains have never stopped me before." A ripple of unease passed through the courtroom. The judge struggled to maintain authority. "Mr. Joker, this is not your stage. Control yourself." "Control," Joker whispered, "is exactly what someone in her life has taken away." Something unspoken passed between him and the girl. Fragile, real, carved from shared understanding of darkness. Then the door at the back of the courtroom creaked open. A tall man stepped inside. Expensive suit, sharp jaw, too confident, too calm. He scanned the room until his gaze landed on the girl, and her face drained of all color. She took a step back. The Joker saw it instantly. His voice dropped to a low, dangerous calm. "Oh, him." Every officer turned, every eye shifted. The man froze when he saw the Joker staring directly at him. Expression stripped of humor, stripped of theatrics, stripped of mercy. And then the Joker whispered the words that made the entire courtroom go silent. "Judge, I suggest you ask the child who that man really is." The girl's lip quivered. The man's jaw tightened, and for the first time, the Joker smiled. Slow, knowing, deadly. The moment the man stepped inside, the courtroom shifted. Not physically, no earthquake, no blast, nothing dramatic. But something in the air tightened, like the walls themselves sensed a predator entering. He adjusted his cufflinks slowly, as if he belonged there more than the judge, more than the lawyers, more than the trembling child who shrank at the sight of him. The Joker leaned forward, steel cuffs clinking softly. His voice carried a strange, chilling certainty. "Judge, if you want the truth, start by asking her his name." Judge Mercer swallowed. For the first time that morning, he looked less like an authority figure and more like a man caught inside a storm he didn't understand. He cleared his throat gently, turning toward the little girl. "Sweetheart, do you know that man?" The courtroom waited. The girl's lips parted, but no words came. Her breath hitched. Her fingers curled tightly around the ends of her sleeves, pulling them down as if hiding something. The social worker placed a hand on her back, but the child winced away from the touch. Joker noticed every detail. The man in the doorway, the source of her terror, smiled politely, too politely. "I'm her uncle, Your Honor," he said smoothly. "She's overwhelmed. I was asked to come support her while she testifies." The Joker laughed softly, shaking his head, not mocking, not hysterical, but as if he had just heard the saddest joke in the world. "Support," he repeated. "Is that what we're calling it now?" The man's jaw tightened. "You're a criminal, Joker. Let the adults handle this." "Adults?" Joker whispered. "You think hurting a child makes you an adult?" The courtroom snapped to silence. A tremor rippled through the girl's shoulders at those words. Small, involuntary, too real, too raw. Judge Mercer's eyes sharpened. "Sir," he said to the man in the doorway, "please step closer." The man hesitated. That hesitation was all the Joker needed. "Ah," Joker murmured, smiling faintly. "Nerves? Why so nervous?" "Uncle, I'm not nervous," the man snapped, stepping forward reluctantly. But the girl stepped back again. One foot, then another, and then she did it once more. Tap, tap, circle. The secret signal, the silent plea. The Joker exhaled slowly, almost tenderly. "There it is," he whispered. "The truth you've all been ignoring." The prosecutor stood abruptly. "Your Honor, the defendant is clearly manipulating the child. We should—" "Sit down," Judge Mercer ordered, voice hardening. "Everyone stays quiet." The man in the doorway tried again, his voice tightening. "Judge, this is ridiculous. She's frightened because he is here." He pointed at the Joker. "Let's not forget who the criminal is." "The criminal," Joker said softly, "is the one she keeps stepping away from." A cold sweat formed on the man's temples. The judge noticed. So did 3 officers. The Joker leaned back, chains rattling softly. "Tell me, Uncle, what did you say to her this morning? Did you tell her to keep quiet, to smile, to pretend? Or did you threaten her the way men like you always do?" "Enough," the man hissed. "You're trying to cause chaos." Joker's smile faded. No, you caused the chaos. I'm just naming it." Judge Mercer took a deep breath and stepped down from the bench, something he rarely did. He approached the girl slowly, kneeling to her level. His voice softened, gentler than anyone had heard from him. "Listen to me," he whispered. "You're safe. No one will hurt you here. But I need to ask you something important, and you don't have to speak. Just nod if it's true." The girl's watery eyes met his. "Are you afraid of that man?" Silence. 1 heartbeat, 2, 3. Then she nodded. Barely, but she did. Gasps broke across the room. The man in the doorway tensed, stepping back instinctively, as if expecting someone to lunge at him. Officers reached for their batons, not because of Joker, but because of him. Joker whispered, "There it is." The judge rose slowly, turning toward the man. "Sir, I'll need you to come forward." But before he could finish, the man bolted. He didn't run toward the exit. He ran toward the child. The courtroom erupted into screams. Officers lunged. The social worker shoved the girl behind her. The judge stumbled back. But the first move was made by someone no one expected. The Joker. He surged up from his chair so fast the chains nearly snapped taut. 2 officers grabbed his arms, but he twisted just enough to throw out one leg, kicking the table so it slid violently across the floor. It slammed directly into the man's knees, sending him crashing to the ground inches before reaching the girl. The courtroom roared in chaos. Officers dogpiled the man, restraining him as he thrashed desperately. The girl collapsed into silent sobs against the social worker's shoulder. Judge Mercer stared at the Joker, shocked, shaken, and unable to speak. The Joker simply exhaled slowly, almost peacefully. "You're welcome." The prosecutor pointed a trembling finger at him. "You attacked. I prevented." Joker corrected. Judge Mercer raised a hand. "Silence, all of you." Officers dragged the man to his feet. The judge's voice thundered, "Take him out, now." The man's eyes darted wildly, locked on the Joker. "You think you've won?" He spat. "You think you're some kind of hero?" Joker tilted his head. "Oh no, I'm not a hero." He leaned forward as officers held him. His voice dropped to a whisper so cold the room felt it in their bones. "I'm the consequence." The man was dragged away, shouting, cursing, shaking. Silence settled again, heavy, trembling, unforgettable. The judge approached the Joker slowly. "You saved her," he said quietly, "but you're still facing charges." Joker gave a small, almost tragic smile. "Story of my life, Judge." The judge exhaled. "Why did you help her?" Joker's eyes drifted to the little girl, still crying softly, still watching him with gratitude and fear blended together. "Because," he whispered, "monsters recognize the men who create them." The judge froze. "And she," Joker continued softly, "wasn't born in the dark. Someone pushed her there." The judge didn't respond. Couldn't. Officers moved to escort Joker out. He didn't resist. He simply looked at the girl one last time, and she lifted her trembling hand to her chest. Tap, tap, circle. A thank you, a goodbye, a promise. The Joker lowered his head slightly, almost a bow. Then he turned toward the exit as the doors opened. But before stepping through, he paused and said the final words that would be whispered in Gotham for years. "Judge, if I were you, I'd keep an eye on every adult who failed that child today, because I don't forget faces or sins." The doors closed behind him, and the courtroom finally understood. The Joker hadn't come seeking revenge. He came answering a signal only a man who lived his whole life in the dark could ever hear. In a city where justice often looks the other way, sometimes the darkest soul becomes the only one willing to see the truth. If this story pulled you in, If it made you think twice about who the real monsters are, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more dark, emotional stories like this one. Your support helps us bring the next twisted chapter to life.